step to get into the back. And this is the rental seat back here. This opens like that. You got your handles to pull it open so you can get in it. And can you see kids like having dirt bike fights and sliding down the trunk and stuff? I mean, it's a miracle that it's here, right?
That's right.
But here it is. And obviously it won Best of Show. You get Jay's Garage, you see Peter and Jay go drive around. It runs great. It's a 12-cylinder. I asked him one day, how's it to drive? And he knows I live in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara, for those of you who don't know, is about an hour north of here. He said, well, we're leaving Ventura, which is 15 minutes from here. If I hit the brakes, I'd stop in front of your house. So, it's for looks. It's not good. But look at these fenders. There's no way you can. By the way, the turning radius on this is like a Peterbilt, right? Because the wheels only turn like that far.
This is absolutely breathtaking.
Huh? Yeah. So now I'll show you the car that has been voted by car designers as the most beautiful car ever made. And the reason that they chose that is because, and I encourage you to walk around the car, because there isn't a bad angle on this car. There's not one angle where you can say, I kind of missed the boat there. Except, I'll tell you one. But the car was designed by a guy who patterned it after the hummingbird. He said that God created the hummingbird. Hummingbirds do really fine for themselves. They don't have a lot of horsepower, but they can fly, it's true, 3,000 miles. The ones from California go down to the tip of Tierra del Fuego. And so if you look at it, you can kind of see the hummingbird shape. It is truly aerodynamic. It did win the law. So not only is it beautiful, but this car also won the law of sport time. And look at the inside too. It's just absolutely beautiful. So one flaw that I find in this car, see if you guys can find it. Something that just really is shocking. As beautiful as this car is, there's one thing where you just go, what were they thinking? Can you see it? No? Okay, I'll give you a hint. Look at the bumpers. Do you see the bumpers are shaped like a knife blade and stuff? The bolts sticking up? What is with that? If they just flipped them upside down, the bolts would go to the bottom and you wouldn't see them at all, right? But both ends are this way. Now I understand why the bolts are there, so you can take them off when you race the car. But just flip them over, and then they would be perfect.
What would this weigh?
Huh?
How much would this weigh?
This is not a really heavy car. I don't know the power gauge, but this is not really. But it is still a frame, body on frame car, so it is. It can be deceiving. I don't know. I'm speculating. But you know what? If you stick around at the end, we have archives like you wouldn't believe, and we'll look it up. Right? So, for all you Tesla fans, that's why Tesla's so cool. I can use the remote control and the door handles pop out, right? Look at these door handles. They pop out. Now, you can't use a remote control. But I just want to show you something. Unlike Bugatti, who designs every bolt on his car, look at these door handles. Look at those door handles. Two different companies. They're buying off the shelf. It's the same door handle, right? It's considered the finest of its day, but they're just buying off the shelf. Not true, not true. So, if you don't believe me about Bugatti, come over here. We have, from his workshop, from his factory, we have Bugatti tools. We have a cart that they use to take parts around. We have a Bugatti press to press bearings and things over there. He designed all these himself. We have a Bugatti vice over here. So now I got to tell you what some guy said to me one day. This guy was great. He says, oh yeah? So he built all of these tools himself, huh? I said, yeah, all of them. Because he thought everyone else was stupid. And I said, not stupid. He just didn't think that anyone was as great a designer as he. So if he didn't have any tools because he wouldn't buy any, how'd he make the vice? I said, dude, he went to Harbor Freight. They were having a sale. So this is a Bugatti Royale engine. This is just the engine. So this is what would have gone in the Type 41, which is a Royale. And these 2 or 4 of these would have gone in those train cars that I showed you. So this is 11 liters, 11 and a half liters. And the thing that's really wild about it is it's an 8-cylinder, but it's cast in blocks. I mean, it's like a Lego, right? This is one, that's one. So you could, by lengthening the crankshaft, you could use the same pistons and the same blocks. So it's actually a very economical way of building an engine. So it's pretty amazing. No, he used magnesium and aluminum. Yeah. So yeah, but it's a now bear in mind this is made for a train, so it's right? Yeah. So okay, which brings us. Oh, I completely forgot forgot. If you look back there, you see the arch with the young lady covering her face, semi-clad back there?
Yeah.
In there is artwork that you have to go see. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. But that's where you'll see all the leaks, the wood ornaments, porcelain that has, and lots of beautiful models of cars and pictures of Peter and all his old friends, Phil Hill, and all the famous guys back when they were racing still. So please do take some time and go back there. But let's move on to cars. And we're going to go on here to André Citroen. André Citroen is probably one of the most amazing human beings who ever lived for so many reasons. And I could talk for 4 hours about him, but I'll try and give you the highlights. Okay, André makes his money. His father was a produce merchant from Holland. And they were Jewish. His name was Lemon Man. But when he moved to, because his dad, the produce guy, right? So they moved to France, and he changes his name to make it sound more French, and so it has the little dots over the E and stuff, so it's Citroen now instead of Citroen, right? And he makes his money as an engineer designing, working on munitions during World War I. World War I is over, and nobody wants munitions anymore. It is the Great War, so what do you need munitions for, right? And so then he gets busy on designing the transmission for the Titanic. And the gears were so wide for that transmission, they would have stuck out beyond the boat. So he says, why don't we fold the gears, thereby making them the same area, but they're narrower. This is where this comes from. That's his logo. And those are the T, right? So, remember that logo, because it's very important. So, he decides at this point, after the Titanic meets an untimely end, he then says, well, cars are getting started. You know, I see all the rich people being chauffeured around and driving their own cars. He said, what about the poor guys? And he says, you know, France is never going to join the modern age until people who are milkmen and plumbers and, you know, and farmers can drive and get away from the horses, you know. Guys, in the 60s, when I lived in Basel, Switzerland, our milk was still delivered by horse wagon. I used to go out and feed the horse sugar cubes in the morning, you know. So he says, I want to build cars for the average Joe and Jane. And Jane, that's the important part, because he saw not in between men and women. Matter of fact, you ladies are the ones that made him so successful. Because the first thing he wants to learn is about the car industry, so he comes to America and he meets Henry Ford. Now, I don't know how much you know about Henry Ford, but he may have been an innovator, but he was not a nice guy. I think Steve Jobs, right? He was a jerk. And he actually drove his son Edsel to death. I mean, he treated him so poorly. And Henry was about making it cheap and getting it out the door, right? So his car broke all the time. He was still using wooden wheels on the Model Ts and stuff. We look at the copper and we say, oh, it's so beautiful. It was just expedient. Copper's easy to work with. Brass is So Aldrin goes over to meet him. And now I have to ask you, are any of you engineers? No? I didn't think so, because you guys are all making eye contact with me. If I have an engineer, I go, you're a liar, because you can be looking at me right now. So, but Aldrin loved people. He loved people more than anything on earth. He made it his business to not only know the name of everyone who worked for him, but their wife's name, their kids' names, even their pets' names. And because he realized that women looked at things completely different from men, he wanted women on the board. He wanted women as designers. He wanted women. So, but wait a minute, no. The wife must be at home cooking and taking care of the children, you know. And he says, all right, so we'll fix that. So we're going to put from daycare to 8th grade schools in the factory, right here. And he's going to make sure that you become an executive and stuff. And to make sure that workers come back, as you're a French guy, I know what's going to happen on lunch. You're supposed to take an hour off, but he'll be back tomorrow. So we're going to put fast food restaurant, like Denny's type place, and a fine restaurant if you want to take the boss out and impress him around, you know, or do you time or whatever. So you really, from morning to night, you got everything that you needed there at the factory. Women were elevated to positions of authority, and everything was fine. That was important to him because the first car that came out You have to be a man to drive it. And by that I mean you have to be strong. I mean, look at this axle on the front. That is right off of a wagon. If you hook up I'm sorry, I'm not a horse guy, the sticks that come off that hook to the horse, anybody know what that's called? You know what I'm talking about. Those things that we look at on that. You put that on, you've got a wagon on your hands, right? So this car has a lot of kickback and steering and stuff. From the beginning, remember what I told you about this? He said, Mr. Citroen, I hate driving. I hate getting beat up. I hate getting dirty. So he says, you know, we're never going to be successful because we're losing 52% of our possible buyers, right? 52%. So we need to build this to where a woman can drive this thing, where she has enough strength to stop it, to steer it, where she doesn't have to crank it, where she doesn't have to get dirty. And so from the very first car, he designs it for Henry. Henry doesn't care, you know, it's whatever, right? And then ultimately looks at it and he says, and Henry's cars have no panache. They're not fun. They're just utility. Remember, any color they want as long as it's black, right? So he looks at the car and he says, let's make it fun. So come to the back. This looks like something Mickey Mouse would have driven around in. And don't forget, Steamboat Willie does come out in those days. So look at this. There is no reason for this. It's just fun. This here is just fun. As a matter of fact, we have two of these cars. The other one is bright yellow. And here it has a third seat like this. Why is it like that? Because how many times have you gone out with friends, you're sitting in the back seat and all you see is the back of people's heads, right? You sit in the middle, you can talk to everybody. So he puts the seat in the middle because it's fun. And then, this is fun, right? And then on the other one that we have, the horn, they all have horns, right? Horn goes right through the glass because Bill drills a hole in his stick because it's fun, right? Come up here. This is actually a luxury touch too. So you know what Lalique is? Lalique makes those crystal things. There, we have a huge collection. You can see them back there. But I asked David, I said, do you know all of them? He goes, not all. There's a book sitting right there. Take a look at that book. We publish our own books here. And Peter's brother, the priest, went all over the world to take pictures of all the ones we don't own. So all of them are right in there. He says, I want poor people, middle class people, to own finer things too. He goes to Lalique and he says, you know, I was in Tuscany and I saw a frieze from the Romans where they showed all of these horses by stacking them. He says, make me one of these. So this lights up at night. So I don't know if you've noticed, but Mercedes now sells a chicken for it. It's only $1,200 per weight. So it screams, I'm fucking Mercedes when you're at night. So this lights up too. But if you didn't order this, the first ones came in any color you wanted as long as it is that yellow there. Because remember, his name is Lemon Man, right? And on the hood, lemon does not mean in French what it does to us. It doesn't mean it's a junk car. But what standard on it is a ceramic lemon with wings that come off. So it's just silly, right? So that's what he does.